Yeah, apparently we have a show that we're supposed to do or something. Like people are expecting us to perform.
To do some stuff.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
No.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
I don't know. It said that it wasn't.
What did you
working.
say? So
Just messing with you again.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And again, we have to stall because we have to wait if there's any commercials that are running.
There's a commercial running.
Is there?
Yeah.
No, we'll wait another.
Yeah, I don't have commercial.
Do you subscribe? Well, there you go. Because you subscribe.
Oh yeah, I'm safe.
Thank you for your money.
You're welcome.
I think I subscribe to you.
You do.
I did.
It's a mutual exchange of funds.
Yes. No, because I did 3 months.
Okay, you're right. You did guilt me on that one. You did. You did.
Well, no, we're already live. I'm not going to say.
Oh man.
Should we do the countdown?
Yep.
All right, we'll do the countdown.
Count it down.
All right. And we're counted down. Look at us. We're here. We made it. And what's funny is during the countdown, I saw the total number of viewers go from 4 to 0. I was like, oh no. We lost all the viewers.
There's a countdown. 30 seconds. I'm out.
I mean, nobody likes numbers. Let's be honest.
Let's do the introductions because there's some people who may be new to all this. Welcome, everybody. It is Friday Eve. It is your weekend getaway night. It is the pre-weekend party. I am one of your co-hosts. My name is James O'Hagan, and with me to my right or your left.
I'm wherever. I'm Carrie Linden, otherwise known as the Chuck Muju.
And below me is...
Okay, so you're going to go here. Hey!
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Reverend Harris. Otherwise known as
Reverend?
I did not say Reverend. But you always do that. Bradford Harris, EdTech Tinker on Twitter. Chief Learning Officer.
I like this. We're going to start... That's it from here on out. Hold on.
Reverend Bradford Harris at Hakuna Matata Live.
There we go. We're fixed.
Welcome to Hakuna Matata Live. No, Chief Learning Officer for Texas Scholastic Esports Federation and
Crazy Sports. Do you see the light?
That's a new soundbite. We need new soundbites on your board.
I'm gonna get all the James Brown from the Blues Brothers. Just every bit. Angelique's laughing because she's like she's ever seen the Blues Brothers because I know she hasn't.
Nope.
See?
Nope. You're right.
And I kind of gave her. Wait a minute. Hold on. I gotta get. There we go.
Yeah,
My name is Angelique Giannis, and I have not seen the Blues Brothers, and I'm happy to be here with you today. Hi. I am Angelique. I am Miss Giannis on Twitter and Instagram and Twitch and all those things. I am an English teacher in San Diego, California, and I'm also a NASEF Scholastic mentor with Mr. Bradford over there, who's a fellow.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
So we have a NASEF mentor and fellow.
Yes.
Look at us go.
Woo-hoo.
And as somebody has pointed out, by the way, no Blues Brothers, that needs to be fixed. It is the greatest American musical in my estimation. It is my favorite movie of all time.
Listen, I've told you guys how I feel. I'm like really struggle with movies.
This isn't movies though. This is a musical.
Okay, that's better.
That has James Brown, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, John Lee Hooker, Cab Calloway. I'm missing one. I'm missing a big one. James Brown. Did I say James Brown?
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Deserves to be mentioned twice though, so it's fine.
He does. So
I'll get on it.
So let's get into our Blues Brothers chat. So in the beginning of the movie, Jake gets out of Joliet prison, and they take a convoluted way to get from Joliet back to Chicago. I'm kidding. No, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about esports and education. It's been a great week, hasn't it, for everybody?
Yeah.
That is not a very overpowering. Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Maybe I put. Yeah.
It hasn't been horrible. I feel like I'm in the groove of distance learning now. Like it's definitely, not great, but we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
So
I think it's there. It's one of those weeks for like personally the week has been okay, but yeah, as Steve says, crappy week in the news. Yeah, it's another one of those weeks where everything just keeps. You're like, yeah, of course. Why would things be getting better?
Why
is there?
Things be getting better?
Isn't it supposed to be? Every day it's supposed to get better, right?
Just a dumpster fire of that appears to be what's been scheduled for the entire year.
Well, I'm just happy to say that my school district we chose to do remote from the beginning. We have not had to do this back and forth. So as the other districts around us, in fact, today, my own children's high school, Homestead, got featured in the Washington Post because parents are lying and sending their kids to school with COVID.
Yes. Not good. Yeah.
No,
I mean, you got to know that that's coming. Like I've already had this week, a pile of Twitter friends are like, well, we woke up this morning and my daughter's got allergies, but the symptoms are, this, and this. So technically I have to keep her home. I'm like, yeah, but a lot of districts, it's even worse. It's like if anybody in the family has symptoms, you've got to take them home. And not only that, they have to pass COVID tests before they can go back to school. And it's like, I mean, if you're in an area where you can get tested for COVID, that's great. But let's be honest, that still isn't the case in a lot of the United States. It's still very hard to get COVID tests in a lot of areas. And then, I mean, if that was the case here, my son would never be going to school. Like I deal with chronic illness. I'm not contagious. Like but I'll be symptomatic.
But you know what? Here's where I look at the positive right now. Okay. I want to share a couple of really cool positive things that happened as far as esports and education this week. Number one, because he's in chat, I'm going to get to hang out with Mr. Steve Isaacs and a group of people from Epic on Saturday to talk about how do we make bring Fortnite into the classroom.
Awesome. Oh, the creative workshop?
There's the creative workshop. If you're not following Mr. Steve Isaacs, please do follow him and go back in his timeline and find that. I don't know, Steve, if there's still room for the Epic event, but I am going to be there on Saturday. I chose to take 5 hours of my day to find and learn about how we can make Fortnite creative mode to bring that into education.
I actually did the first one with Steve. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I was like, the whole time I was like, I'm having such a good time. Like, it's so cool. There's so much cool stuff you can do. So I can't wait to hear what you think.
I'll report back next week. So Steve, you're under pressure. But the second thing, but the second thing, and again, this speaks volumes of our community. Esports is not, again, we've talked about it not being this turnkey solution, this thing where you just, pay $64 and you have esports. The community around Racine has really, again, embraced esports. And we had a student this week who I was alerted to who was trying to try out for the team. One of the teams for Overwatch does not have the game at home. Had only been playing at Not Your Parents' Basement, which is no longer available to us at this time. I reached out to the Racine Public Library, and they hooked us up with a gaming laptop and the game and checked it out to the student.
What?
That's awesome.
Right. And normally they don't check those out. But again, they're on shutdown. Yeah. The devices are just sitting there. They paid the money. They bought the license, and now the student can participate from home in Overwatch. And there's no time limit on the checkout. So
that's good.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So that's while the world, yes, is a collective as a whole dumpster fire, there are these things that we should celebrate.
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely great things happening. Yeah.
You must, Bradford, did you have something to celebrate this week? One little thing.
Do I have something to celebrate?
Yeah.
Oh, aside from the Scholastic Fellows, being a Scholastic Fellow.
Now, when did you find out about that?
Well, okay, is Jarrell on the chat at all?
I see Kevin Brown.
Kevin is, though.
Well, okay, well, Jarrell secretly called me out the last time I was on here. No, it was the 2 Thursdays ago when he said I needed to sign my stuff.
Oh yeah,
and
like, I do.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then he went back and apologized. Ooh, I didn't mean to call you out. My bad. I was like, oh, I don't care. So
I call you out all the time.
He does call me out all the time. He does everything but cuss me out. But yeah, he cusses me out anyway.
I mean,
I do not. I have never cussed you out.
It's a different type of cussing.
Oh, okay.
It's different. But yeah, so after how many years, James? Steve will tell you because if Steve's on here, he'll tell you after my after 2-3 years of fussing, cussing, crying, why can't I do this? I will have my first esports meeting on Monday with 2 campuses.
exciting.
So we are officially starting. Come hell or high water, pass or fail, I will be talking with 2 teachers and my program director, who I'm partnering with. Thank you, Jesus, that she sees the passion, because it takes a person. I'm gonna call her out, Shayna Glass, because I've worked with her since we were teachers at an elementary campus. We've been like this for years, and she became a program director, and she's seen this passion that I have had for years of doing this. And I'm not going to say I got the door slammed in my face, because I really didn't, but she's just seen the drive that I've had, and I'm not going to say setbacks either, but like I keep talking about it as if it was like my religion, which I feel like it is. But but yes, I will have that the initial conversation on Monday, getting them started, some do's and don'ts, and just speaking the vision of what this will look like. On top of, I will have a meeting with my director tomorrow just to touch base. Then somebody talked to me today about, hey, I got some demos that I may want to talk to you about with a vendor. I'm like, oh, okay. So all of a sudden, things are just happening in place where 2-3 years ago, I'm like, why can't I just let this happen now? So, and again, and Kevin knows my struggle, because I kept calling him probably every other week. Why can't this happen? Why can't this happen? He was saying, why can't this happen? Why can't this happen? So it is actually going to happen in some way, shape, or form starting next Monday.
Well, wait a second. You got multiple calls to Kevin Brown, because I know that guy only takes one call from people, and that's all they get. He never follows up, never helps anybody.
I don't know.
I'm not going to touch that one. I'm not going to touch that one. That's on.
Kevin Brown is a godsend to a lot of people.
Kevin bought me a coffee once. It was a good time.
He is. He is. Kevin Brown has been my biggest advocate, my biggest supporter through this whole entire journey. He has not given up. He has not given up on me. He's like, whatever you need, just let me know. Whoever I need to talk to, let's make this happen. Do I need to come down there? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? Like, I don't know any organization
to snuffle up, I guess.
I don't know any organization.
By the way, Angelique, that was the imaginary character.
I know what a
oh my god!
Oh my god!
It was Big Bird's imaginary friend. Well, real friend, but nobody believed he was real. Do you realize? Wait a minute. Do you realize how? Okay. That was such a serious thing too back in the day. Okay, sorry, Reverend.
No,
sorry,
I was gonna say I don't know any other organization that does stuff like this and doesn't ask you for money.
Yeah.
They just truly want, what's best for you and what's best for students. And the reason why personally I wanted to keep pushing it, and I know most likely we'll get on this topic today, is because I want kids who look like me in this space. And it's very important that little kids who look like me are in this space, which is why I'm all over the place. I'm speaking on what I'm doing, how I'm learning, how to get these things involved. James, James K, I showed you that picture when y'all got on your whole white kick, so to speak. And I know I don't respond because
you're making us. Oh my God! Get on our white kick.
Am I going to keep it real in here? I'm going to keep it real. I keep it real. So I know I don't respond because I sit there and laugh and I chuckle. I'm like, oh my God, they're just going in like Flynn over here. And my coworker's like, what are you laughing at? Don't worry about what I'm laughing at. Because you would swear these people are talking as if they were Black or Latina. But no, so that's why I said I just want to make y'all smile, and that's why I had to put those pictures of me hugging those kids, because that's why I keep doing what I'm doing, because I don't, and I'm not gonna say I don't see kids like me in that space, but I don't see enough kids like me in that space, and that's why I keep pursuing this. And nobody has told me, Bradford, you need to stop, or you need to. They just tell me, kind of slow down, but they never have said stop. Nobody has ever told me to stop. They just want to make sure that I'm doing it for the right reasons, and that I don't just do it to be doing it and it falls apart. They want to make sure that I do the research and I do it well. So nobody has ever told me, anybody that has crossed paths with me, even my director, has never said, Bradford, you know what, we need to pause on this. We need to stop on this. It's just, okay, let's look at this. Let's review it. Let's see where we can take this. Let's see what school best fits it for right now. Because I'm not doing the whole entire district. That's 80 schools. And that's too much for me right now. I can only do one school, well, two schools, a middle school and a high school, which they're super excited about. So that's my story. I will follow up with you guys on Thursday to let you know what happened, if they say I quit or whatever.
Well, Angelique, you let loose that you are Bradford's mentor through this process. Is that your positive, or do you have something?
Well, my positive is I am a scholastic mentor. I am not Bradford's mentor.
Oh,
we are not. They did not pair us together, which I was sad about. But that's one of the things I'm celebrating. I'm super excited to continue with NASEF and, get to be a mentor to the new fellows. There's so many cool people that are fellows this year. I mean, people last year were also extremely cool, but this year is like people from the UK and like South Africa and Mexico.
That was amazing.
And Racine.
Cool. And Racine, yeah.
I'm super excited. It's not just my guy Travis Witt that I'm excited about. Sorry to oh God, I'm stepping on your celebration. I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
Your friend is he's in my group. But
well, it's also Cliff Kennedy, who I'm also very excited about to see, who's also in there. Yes. Yeah. Clint Kennedy. I say Cliff, I meant Clint. Sorry.
What else? Oh, I am helping the San Diego County Office of Education run a Minecraft build challenge next weekend, which is super exciting. Steve's going to be very excited about that. I'm sure I might message you, Steve, to get some help. And we're doing a Fortnite tournament for like all San Diego schools, which is super cool. We're going to be doing a 6-hour stream, so that's going to be interesting. What else? Oh, my school. I had a meeting last week with my school to get Minecraft on our Chromebooks, and I think it's going to happen very, very soon, which I am like so pumped about. We're going to build a school. And
if you already have the Microsoft license, most school districts, there's actually a website you can go to check to see if, I think it's actually off the Minecraft EDU site. You can check and see if your domain has it available. Like literally all the IT people have to do is just turn it on. And I was like, put mine in and I'm like, oh, look, we just have to turn this on. Yeah, I think that's what's happening with ours too. So
I'm getting to pilot it with like 30 accounts, and then hopefully opening it up to more students, which is so cool because my kids are 1-to-1 at our school, so they already have the Chromebooks at home. And I've had just so many kids interested in being a part of my gaming club on Fridays, and it's hard to manage that many kids in a Discord server and like have it be fair and everything. We've been playing a lot of Among Us, which is like so much fun. I'm loving that game.
Here's what I like Among Us, but there's a Jackbox game that it is very similar to.
Faker, yeah.
Well, is that the one with the space where you're supposed to find the alien?
Oh no, I've never played.
There's one that you're supposed to find the alien. That's same, except you don't go around murdering your other people.
Right.
See, you know what I love about Among Us is like it hits like every English standard. Like it.
What?
Like oh my god, yeah. Like
talk us through that. Go.
Well, like I mean, their communication skills, negotiation skills, like talking about key details and where they were, and like all of these, like it literally hits everything almost. Like I was just in my mind mulling over, like, could you make this into a lesson plan? And I'm like, this is crazy. Like a debate team, for example, like it's just, it's really cool. Like inference and conclusions. And it's like, I just sit back and I listen to my students and like, I'm just speechless. I'm like, this is so cool. Just listening to them.
Let's do a quick poll of just the 4 of us. 3 of us. I've already got the answer. When did Among Us come out?
Ooh,
I feel like saying out loud. It was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. June 15th, 2018.
Yeah, I was going to say a long time
It's
ago.
amazing how this game has caught on recently.
Well, I mean, that's the power of content creators. You know, it takes the right content creator to then turn the other content, and then all of a sudden it just explodes. Yeah.
Well, I think, and also, we're stuck inside, and it's free on mobile, and 10 people. Yeah. We have 10 friends play.
And I've seen on our Discord. And what's great is our Discord is getting lively again because all our students are off at lunch at the same time instead of having 2 schools that are off at one time and 3 are at another. But what I've been seeing is at lunchtime is not just by school, but also in our general area between the 5 high schools, kids getting together to play Among Us and teachers joining in. So there's teachers who are taking their lunch breaks as well. Right. And again, it's those kind of connections, don't just happen. They just don't usually, unless you've got, like, again, the community around it. So
it's just, I'm like literally in tears laughing so hard at them. Like when I'm dead and I'm muted. Oh no, bye Bradford.
Oh,
we lost him.
He was checking himself out and he probably closed his browser. Like,
when I'm dead and I'm just listening to them on mute, it's just, oh my God, it's just so funny. It's great. I love it. But now I don't trust any of them. So
none of your students?
Yeah.
Oh, it's no longer Hakuna Matata live now because Bradford.
Oh no!
So, Carrie, what about you? What was your big positive? Did you have a big positive? You must have one in all this.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely have positives. For me, it's just work. We're getting really close to sort of like taking components of a project that we're working on live. And doing the whole announcement thing and getting to the point where I can actually like talk about a project that I'm really excited about. So that's been really cool to be getting it to that point where like I'm going to be able to start having conversations with people and not living in NDA. So it'll be good. I'm excited. It's been a neat process. So.
And Jarrell has shown up as well.
It's a party now.
Well, Angelique, you don't have to say anymore. Since Jarrell's now here, you don't have to say anymore that you were talking about earlier, that thing.
Okay.
But with all this positive, let's go back to Bradford's.
Let's get our white on.
Yeah, we're gonna get our white on. Well, and this is something. Look, this is something serious. This is something that, again, we just talked about a bunch of positive stuff and things that should look positive on the surface because of all these great people they're bringing together. Yeah. But you got to mix it up just a little bit. Now, I'm going to share a couple of photos with people here. I'm going to start with, okay, I got this one here. Okay. We're going to start with this one. And let me make sure that, okay. So this was a leadership summit that I sat in on today. And this isn't to call out any one of these people that is in this picture here specifically. But what does anybody notice about the picture? Not everybody all at once now.
Well, I've already said it. So
yeah, I mean, we have talked about the overarching whiteness of this graphic extensively, just not on the air. Yeah, it did. As soon as I saw this post,
I like how Kevin puts it in Spanish. Thank you, Kevin.
My question was, these are the few additions. Like maybe the existing panelists were not white, but somehow I doubt that.
Well, the damning thing of all this is that when you look more at this post, it said, hey, if you think there's anybody who should be part of this, please message me and let us know.
Yeah.
So I sent them a list. I sent them a list that included people like Danny Martin and Tristan Wheeler and Sam Anton and LaToya Peterson and Ken Shelton. I mean, I ran through the names. Kevin Mitchell. And then what did I do? I followed up with some of them. Not all of them, but I followed up with some of them. Did you get contacted by this person? Not one of them did.
Yeah.
Not one of them got contacted. It was all bullshit. I'm going to call it what it is. It was bullshit. And I don't normally swear on this thing. I usually keep it PG, but that is about the most disingenuous thing you could possibly do. It's disgusting. I sat in on this and was asking questions that led to, like, you know, in fact, I think at one point I asked a question that about diversity because somebody started talking about diversity and inclusion. And I brought up in my question that didn't get asked for some reason about the whiteness of the panel and how do we address that and how do we increase inclusion and diversity in collegiate? Because they were talking about collegiate at the time.
Right.
So there's that one. But here's another one. And this one, I feel like we can be a little bit more. I didn't call this one out, even though I feel like I can, but it's one of those sensitive ones where I don't know if I should. So go ahead.
This one bothered me the most.
Okay. This one is also from this week.
This one bothered me more. And maybe it's coming from like a gendered perspective, but if you're already part of a group that deals with exclusion issues within a field, to have a panel that's about creating a safe gamer space, to have it very specifically be, you know, female representation, and then to not have there be representation of other sorts, just really hit home. Like, this one bothered me more.
Well, and I look at things that say gamer safe place, and I look at that picture, and that leads me to the question I always ask whenever everybody says safe space or safe place. I ask, for whom?
Exactly.
And who is this saying the gamer safe place is for?
In my interpretation, this is white, femme identifying women. Like I don't even know that this panel give space to, you know, LGBTQ representation from just the overarching look of it. I don't know. I mean, that we can't.
I mean, that we can't speak to. All I can speak to is I look at the picture at first glance and I go, whoop, okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that a couple of years ago when we were at ISTE, Bradford and I were, there was a man, Matt Miller, who ran a panel of like, 10, 15 people. Mm-hmm. And again, it was mixed gender, but it was all white. And boy, did he get savaged. And nobody will savage this. Nobody will call this out. Well, I mean, I will, but I didn't call this one out. But we need to. We need to do it.
Absolutely.
I mean, there is no reason that in this day and age we should have 12, 13, 14 people on this one who are all white. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. I was bothered by this. I've been bothered by this for a few days. And I'm glad that we all can talk about it. And I hope that the people who are in the chat maybe have some thoughts as well. Perhaps they could share it. Because I've done putting together panels and I've done putting together conferences. And it's like, you just have to, it's like you think about it. You have to think about it. You can't just, Bradford, you're putting together a conference right now, right?
Yep.
I mean, is that something that is discussed in your?
Well, okay. So let me tell you something. So, and let's go back to Matt. Let's go back to Matt for a second, because you and I, we know Matt personally, and I'll add Ken Shelton into this too. We all know what ISTE is. You know, on the surface, it is a diverse conference, and Matt did, he did put a public apology out there. He still got chewed out after the public apology, and still good friends with Matt, so nothing wrong. He owned up to what he did. He just had that moment of, oh my God, I didn't realize, and I think his topic was diversity, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, Matt. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if it was, Matt. Sorry, but not only that, but he had the emojis. I remember too that he had the emojis going across too. Not the emojis, the Bitmoji characters of themselves. And he was just like, oh my God, I just really cannot believe this is what I did. So, and he talked to several people, not just of color, but like I think his white counterparts as well. Like, oh my God, I didn't realize that at a conference that promotes diversity, this is what I did. Let me make an apology. But so he knows how irresponsible that was. Now moving forward, what will he do next? Don't know. But for my conference, when I ran it as a chairman, and I can only speak for myself, and the chairman that's doing it now, he still practices the same thing that I do. My whole purpose of me running the conference was I wanted people to experience the things that I experienced going out, because there are some teachers, quite frankly, that stay in their bubble, and I'm not trying to throw teachers on the bus or throw shade at those teachers, but there are some teachers that, quite frankly, just don't go to PD beyond the four walls of their classroom. They just don't.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to bring the ISTEs, the TCEAs, all of that stuff to them. But the biggest thing I want to show them is, like, I wanted to show people, and I prayed on it, because at first I did not want to be a chairman, because if I can be so bold,
so much work.
Yes, it is so much work, but it is hard being a Black and brown person up front and running stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's if I could just be bold, because it's for us in that space. If you mess up, it's not the organization that messed up.
Right.
You messed up. And so that's what I was taking a risk on. Like, oh, do I do this? And so I could tell you so much stories later, but I'm not going to get into that. But the reason why I wanted to go into that space was I want people to see other different speakers that are different, that come from different walks of life, that, oh, wow, this person is talking about this person is talking about that. While I had that 2-year reign, I'm going to show you what I've experienced, what I learned. So whatever happened after the 2 years happens after the 2 years, but you're going to get some people that look like me. You're going to get women on the panel. You're going to get things that are culturally responsive, because that's what you need beyond just the tech. That's what was most important.
But
wait. Go ahead, Carrie. Go ahead.
For me, I think the thing that why I'm just so
Kevin, rant, Kevin. Sorry.
I think why I'm so burnt is like, obviously you've got racial issues. You've got issues with gender representation often on panels. But being that it's a digital year, I've attended a lot more conferences than I normally would because they've all been online. I've seen quite a few of them revolve around the gaming space and about accessibility.
And you and I seem to always be on the same panels.
Well, we do when we're on them, yes. But like I've sat through a couple different conferences now that had a real focus on accessibility, and being someone who has accessibility issues, being hard of hearing. What's always sort of surprised me is pretty much every conference, none of them are on platforms that have closed captioning. So you can only access the conference once the videos get put on YouTube. None of this is set up front. So, if you did have to pay for the conference, you actually don't get any benefit of being there live with anybody. And so just even from that perspective, as somebody, who has accessibility issues, it's been really frustrating watching organizations be like, come to this conference, it's all about accessibility and gaming, and we're entirely not accessible. It's like, it's the whitewashing version, but in regards to like disability inclusion. So we're not just seeing it in one capacity, we're seeing it in all of them, and we're seeing them from organizations who should know better because they're championing these causes, but when it comes time to put their conference together, it's like, yeah, we're going to offer closed captioning, whenever we get all our videos onto YouTube. And you'll even ask them. I mean, I remember live tweeting one organization and being like, when are these panels going to be on? Because I tried to just watch this one panel and couldn't get any of it. And you don't even get an answer. Like, oh, the closed caption will be available when they hit YouTube. Like, yeah, I know that. When is that going to be? I'd like to know when that's going to happen. So it's exhausting.
There was a good question back up a little bit. Who are these people who determine who are on these panels? Okay. Yeah. So when I reached out to this person about the first picture that I showed, the response that I got was, and I'll read you the full response just so you have it all. Hi, James. Thank you for your message. If you look at posts from previous summits, you will see that we always try our best to be as diverse and inclusive as we possibly can. Okay. This summit consists mainly of our sponsors around the awards with a few additions. So on this event, it could not be helped. It would if you would ever like to suggest speakers or even put yourself forward to join us, always more than happy to add people to the list of future summits. So these are the people who I sent as options. Danny Martin, LaToya Peterson, Marcus Howard, Kevin Mitchell, Ken Shelton, Ryan Johnson, Amon Green, Adam Salim, Miguel Gill, Kathy Shang, Sam Anton, Niall Kawaloa, Catherine Amukta, Tariq Moody, Tristan Wheeler. Not one of them got contacted.
Yeah.
Not one. Not one. But unless Sam, you can tell us, you're in the chat. Sam, did you get contacted? Because I didn't find out if you did or not. But yeah, I can't control it. I can't control it. That's what bothers me. And because I've run conferences, Bradford, you've run a conference, and the excuse of I can't control it, that doesn't fly with me.
No, and it's not like any of this is new. I mean, none of this is new. We know that these problems exist, and to just continue to say, yeah, but like we can't keep saying but like your conferences need to be accessible. So if your platform isn't accessible, you need to be doing some research into that. It's like every time I get called into a meeting on Zoom doesn't have closed captioning. I hate to break it to you. Hit me up on Google Hangouts. That can accommodate my hearing. Zoom can't. The spaces that are not, disability accessible, granted, everybody's gotten a reprieve from that this year. But yeah, I mean, to me, creating the panel is the easiest part. Like, that's not picking the venue. That's not making sure that you've got those are the people that are going to be there. Like, can't we at least get that right?
Well, and you look at what we do here, and people probably wonder, how did you all come together on this? And it's by choice. It's by choice that we have a diverse chat. It just is. Now we all have chemistry together now, which is great. You know, that helps a lot. But we didn't start off with chemistry. We've been going on this now for what, a couple months?
Yeah.
And there has been a lot of chemistry development in all this. Now, Sam, this is a big one, and I want to put it up on screen to see it, because Sam makes a very good point in all of this as well too. Because it's not just about having the panel and putting it together. With the esports panels I have sat on, majority of them, if not all, had a moderator who had no idea about the work I represented or put the effort to learn more about me. It feels like with these situations, the intention stopped once they identified who would sit on the panel, rather than the most important work being how you shape the panel's conversation. That is a great effing point.
That's how I end up getting called an esports wife.
I wasn't going to say that ever in public. so little short story. Little, okay, fine. Since you brought it up, shall we go into the details?
Yes, we should.
So Carrie and I have been on a number of panels together. It seems that Carrie and I are joined at the hip with esports stuff. And we were on a thing for a online conference. And one of my friends, well, people who I know, I won't call him a friend, a professional associate, was the moderator for the room. And Carrie and I were there early, and we were having some conversation. And I made joke about like, oh, it's funny seeing you here again today. And he said, oh, is that your esports work wife? And I kind of nervously laughed, and I kind of like did one of these things where I'm like looking around like in panic, and I'm just thinking on my mind, oh my God, I can't. And then he followed up with something else. I don't even remember. What did he say?
Ladies first. We were like starting the panel with like ladies first. I'm like, no, why don't we start with the person who put the panel together?
Yeah. There was a lot of me doing this where I was just like, oh Jesus, oh God.
Yeah.
Deliver me from this moment that Carrie does not eviscerate this poor man.
I was really good.
You were. You handled it well. I think I was just my eyes just got wide, and I might have sat there with dilated pupils for about 30 seconds, just like in a fight or flight mode.
This just happened.
Yeah, that just actually happened.
Yes, it did.
It's so esports wife. That's cute. It wasn't at the time, trust me. Also, good point made here. The lack of diversity in a panel simply exemplifies the lack of diversity in their personal affinity circle.
That is talked about that a lot.
That's a hell of a point too. That is a hell of a point too.
But even for me now, like I still feel like that can't be. We can't, like, that excuse is done.
Yeah,
it's done. Like, especially after the year that we've had, that's done. If you can't look through your contacts and see a diverse group of people, you're screwing up. And I'm going to go even farther and say, if your group of people is just black and white, you're screwing up. If you don't have, people that are from the Middle East, if you don't have native populations, like if your sphere of awareness is even just two ethnicities or two ethnic backgrounds, you're not getting the point. Like,
I'm not getting this point. Angelique, you seem to understand what Sam is getting at here. I can't. It would help if Sam would just, I don't know, follow the link and just come in here and just join us.
No, well, it's like, like the esports work wife, like, oh, you must be, the wife. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like as a woman, you get that a lot. Like when you're in a male dominated place, like definitely in video games. But I remember like, I used to go play paintball and they'd be like, oh, where's your boyfriend? And I'm like, what do you mean? You must be here with a man kind of thing.
Yeah. One of my best friends, we used to play together all the time. And I remember it was at the point everybody in Sea of Thieves was having like their husbands and their wives. And I just straight up, somebody made a comment and I said, if you ever refer to me as your, like, that is it. You will be unfollowed on every single platform. Like, I will ice you out. Like, there's this desire to wrap the female gamer into
the gamer girl.
Yeah. It's another way to sort of just take the power out of the position, but to wrap it in something that's familiar and heavily gendered. And, even that's problematic. We're definitely not in an era where gender's simple. And even, gender presentation isn't simple. What I missed? There was a good thing. Let's go did, but
Wow. Well, we'll kick Bradford out now.
Look at all the excitement. Oh wait, it sounds like excitement because I'm in both. Oh, that's why.
You're
No,
what?
there was excitement.
They just sound like a lot, but it was layering. Like I heard the wows, but then the wows kept going. I'm like, oh, this is such an.
That's actually how excited we are, so that's accurate.
It's good.
Well, thank you for joining us. My goodness, how are you?
I'm doing well. To be honest, I've never understood when you posted the link, like, oh, come join. I was just like, what does he mean by that? And then right now when you said you should join, I'm like, oh, that's how it happened.
Have a box on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have anything to add to the because again, you did bring up the adding a gendered role, and I was confused, but I think Angelique did a pretty good job of explaining that one.
No, yeah, she did. Yeah,
she had you explained very well.
That's why I start to like poke back, and I call some folks gamer guys. You know, because it's just like I feel like gamer girl
not even gamer guys. I feel like you got to go gamer boys.
Yeah,
like
lads.
Gamer El Conquistadors. No, I was kidding. Sorry. Well, again, you're getting into the conversation a little late, but again, I did put you down as a reference. Did you hear from this person about joining the esports leadership panel today?
I don't think so.
Okay, then. All right.
I like to think I know, like I at least know the emails that come in, you know? Like very rarely do things slip that deep. I feel like I would see that, and I don't think I did.
And I'm gonna tell you why you. And I'm gonna tell you why you probably didn't, James. I don't even know why you did that. You just did that, James. You do this kind of stuff to just for pure entertainment. When you sent that out, that panel was already done, and you said, you know, both of us have had experience, you know, running a conference. So at the time that you sent that out. You know good and darn well that all of that stuff was already set. It was already done. They had said, yep, we got it. We're in. We're about to post this. And we're gonna keep it running.
Now here's my question though. Like as someone that is occasionally tagged to go on panels, if I knew the panel that I was going to be on was extremely white, if the organization came back and threw a group email together that was like, hey, we just took a look at everybody's headshots and we realized we might have made a misstep here, I would happily bow out. If it was like, do you have another woman? Do you have another woman of color? Awesome. Have her take my place.
Yeah.
I would be happy to do that. Like because that needs to happen. So I feel like, yeah, okay, the panels are put together, but why aren't we going in and having a conversation with those panels and saying, hey, look, we just realized that we made a snafu, because you're on that panel. And like, that's cringy too, to sit there and be like, yeah, okay, I'm here.
And this time it is so important for us to be allies. The allyship is becoming something that is Ken Shelton. I have to say Ken Shelton because there's so many Kens in the world. So Ken Shelton has really educated me about the importance of allyship. And an example that I have a couple of years ago, maybe it was 2 summers ago, I was being very, I don't know, you know me, I'm very laid back. I would never be confrontational with anybody about anything ever.
Definitely.
No, but I was talking about how HSEL did not have an advisory board. And it became let's just say it became very contentious. And at one point, one of the higher ups at HSEL over Discord, it was the Esports EDU Discord, asked me straight up, well, how about you join our advisory board? And I wrote back, I went, do you really need another white male to advise you about esports?
I loved that response. I loved it.
But again, it's just like what you're saying, Carrie. You know, you look at the panel and you go, you know what, I'll bow out, because the diversity of our voices is much more important right now than me getting 15 more minutes of stage time to talk about
God. Yeah, absolutely.
As Sam pointed out, they may not even know what you're talking about. This person may pick you on a name. or because of your gender, or because of your race. It isn't just those things, as Sam so eloquently pointed out. It is important to also know who and the content of what they hopefully will present and talk about what they add.
And they're doing what's comfortable and what's easy, because that's what they're doing. They're doing what's it's easy for them, because it's a lot harder. And I'm not saying for me or anybody in this panel that's talking right now, but to go out and look for people of color who are doing things, and women who are doing great things. It's easy to just call somebody up on the phone. Hey, you're doing this. I know you. Let's put a panel together. Done. That took me like 10 minutes to do, and not think about, okay, what are you really doing in your field? Okay, can you dig a little deeper? Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Okay, I see you doing great things, but let's dig a little deeper. Who else in your field? Like, I know you know like 5 other people, but who else? But who do those 5 other people know? Let's keep going. Let's keep digging.
And I think we're at a point, or at least a lot of us are, where we'd be fine getting tagged for conversations about stuff like that. Like, yeah, if you're putting together a panel and you want to know about, particular demographics, ask who. If you don't personally have those contacts, reach out to the people that that have a different, group of people that they are in contact with, and say like, hey, look, I'm doing a panel on this. Right now I've got, this person confirmed, but I want to make sure that I'm hitting different groups of people. Who else do you know that could bring in other, other stories? Because I think any of us here would be happy to be like, okay, like this is my wheelhouse. These are my people. Let me introduce you to some folks. Because there's so many different communities that are underrepresented in the gaming world, whether you're talking about LGBTQ, it's still really hard for trans and non-binary people. You've got women, you've got every ethnicity under the sun other than just sort of general Caucasian. Like, there's so much there to touch, and everybody's experience is drastically different depending on where you've come from, how long your family's been in the country, what sort of situation brought your family here to begin with. Some people have come here just to emigrate. Others have escaped unbelievable horrors and turmoil in their home countries. So there are so many really powerful voices, and for people who are putting on panels and it's like it's easy, especially in the education world, we serve students. We don't serve a homogenous population. We serve kids that are coming in and escaping horrific situations. We've got kids coming in from all over the world. Like I know the school site that I was last at, we had kids from Morocco, we had kids from West Africa, we had kids from various countries in Central and South America. Like, we had a pretty diverse population. They were dealing with homelessness. They were dealing with seeking asylum. Like, bringing in these other voices, it's huge. We had a huge LGBTQ population too. Like, anytime a kid can see themselves represented in some way, that's huge. That's huge.
I will agree with that. And I will say, in the very beginning, when I started, not just because of the color of my skin, I was thinking of my district alone, that is so diverse, that when I started asking those questions, I'm looking at districts who are very affluent, all male, all white. And I'm like, I have nothing. I mean, I had the questions, but like, I will tell the parents, well, you have nothing to offer me, because I can't go back to my director and say, look at this. And isn't this great? But obviously, yes, it is great, but it doesn't work for the people that I serve. I'm coming to you saying, I don't have any money. My students don't have any money.
Yep.
They're different. I can't get this tomorrow, but you're coming at me saying, you can start this up tomorrow. You can do this right now. Look at all of these kids. They come to school. They make straight A's. They're all blonde. They're all boys, and they just they just start up, and it's not a problem. And I look and I go, well, what do you do for women? I remember I was at South by Southwest, and I asked the question. I got up and said, well, what do you do for people like me? What do you do for women? What do you do for districts who don't have any money? And they went, They had no answer.
Yeah.
Throw in what do you do for special education and just watch silent.
I asked that question.
Yeah.
I asked that question, and there was a parent right there that said, "Thank you for asking that question."
Yeah.
They had no idea. It was South by Southwest Gaming, but I had to ask that question. I'm like, you don't have you're coming to this and saying esports is great, and I agree with you, it's great, but you're talking about infiltrating schools,
right.
But you're only talking about one part. At the time that I started this, people were saying, games, no, we don't have time for that. No. And if we have the money, that's a big maybe. I gotta sell it a lot more than just, you can go on ahead and get this Alienware and get these few students over here, and IT is gonna support it, and all the games are just gonna come down, and the few kids are gonna get the scholarship. And I told them, this is not gonna work. I'm gonna look stupid going back to my director and saying, hey, this is what we're gonna do. I'm ready to start next week.
Yeah.
And it's like, who are you fooling when that's happening? Like, even if you get the approvals, even if you move things through, like at some point it catches up to you to show, like,
it does.
And it's really unfortunate too, because it's like, that's so sad to know that a lot of these programs are built thinking of these specific students, and that's why it works, so well with them. But then that's why it doesn't work for other students. But imagine if you just built it with the students that deserve it and will be impacted, that won't get it otherwise. That's so much more interesting to me than, selling something that, it's going to sell and it'll be successful, but you're not really,
right.
I don't know, you're just doing whatever.
And I feel like I'm kind of semi-call some places out, but if you look at
let's do this.
The certain organizations that charge a lot of money for you to play in as a high school or a middle school, if you look at the maps of the schools that play in those organizations, at least the ones that I look at in San Diego, you notice like, oh, it's those schools. Like, it's the wealthy, white, privileged schools. And it's never the schools that, aren't getting the funding, don't have the funding from their families, the money from their families, and the schools don't have the funding either from the community. So it's like,
I'll support you on that one. I'll one up you on that one. I'll give you a good example. All right. Let's call it out. Play versus. So, couple of years, last year, 21 schools in I can't call out I can't say the actual school district because I've talked to this person and I'll just say they had 21 schools in the county, and they were told by their state athletic director that they were getting ready to start their esports programming. They were told that they had to use play versus. They were gonna just do their own thing in house. They were told that they had to use play versus. They went from having 21 schools that were going to participate in esports down to 3. Only 3 could afford to do it. Only 3 had the funds to do it. Well, to go from 21 to 3 was sickening. And I talked to the guy after, and I said, "Look, you're big enough. You have 21 schools. You can do whatever you want." He goes, "What about the state of Kentucky and the athletic director?" I go, "So what? Let do whatever you want. Run it in house. Call NASEF. They'll help you." I think they actually did, because I think they actually ran both. But it was like, if they came back and said you're not going to be the official Kentucky esports. Did I say Kentucky? Oh, if you're not going to be the official esports champion of that state, so what? You're still going to meet your educational goals. It's that those things that you decide on day one, like the people who struggle with, why isn't my program diverse? Well, on day one, you didn't want your program to be diverse. On day one, you bought computers and picked the games, and you rolled out esports, and you put up some flyers, and then you really aggressively went up to a bunch of girls in the lunchroom and said, "Hey, I think you should join esports." And they freaked out, and you walked away, and they never came. Yeah. That story, as much as it sounds weird, is a true story. It is these little things that, again, it's the invitation. What is the invitation? When I talk about education, I talk about the invitation to education. And that invitation to education is things like the bus showed up on time. I walked in the door to school and I wasn't made to go through a metal detector. The heat worked in my school building. I'm not bullied. My teachers know my name. I feel engaged. All those things are little parts of the invitation to education. The invitation that we have to esports is, do I see myself in my people who I'm working with? What games are we playing? Are these ones that I even like? Who are the other people who are playing in this group? Do I feel safe being in this space? Is there a code of conduct? All these things should be day one, and almost everybody, including myself, the first time I put together an esports team, missed it. I missed it.
And a lot of times, all that stuff's being put in place by one demographic of person. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with guys to only have them later and be like, well, that was offensive. That made you feel uncomfortable. I'm like, well, like the entire hour you were streaming, it was all rape culture. Like, that was a little uncomfortable for all the women in chat. And if you didn't notice, we all disappeared because none of that was okay. Well, I didn't mean it that way.
Well, I'll share one. I'll share one more thing here really quickly, because this kind of ties into a little bit of what we're talking about. So this is the Raising Good Gamers report that came out today. And I read through this and I was really impressed by this report because it looks at things, again, from a little different perspective. There's one part of this, though, that I think a lot of esports companies are completely missing on. And it's something that we as educators need to do a whole heck of a lot better job. It is this part right here about, I'm circling it with my mouse like you can
like we can see it.
But it's this part about influencers and streamers.
Yes.
If you're going to be doing business with this group of gamers, let's say 8 to 13-year-olds, please do not have your company funded by Dr. Disrespect or Keemstar or something else, because you cannot do business with, look, you may think the esports world and the education world that does esports are the same. The education world is a whole other beast. We look at things from a completely different lens. And if you're an esports company trying to get into the business of education, do your homework, talk to an educator, talk to an administrator. I'm happy to talk. My $300 an hour is my consulting fee. I will save you so much money, time, and effort and hassle. And here's the other thing too. When somebody like me calls you up and says, you really should reconsider who is funding your and who and how they operate within your business if you're going to start working with kids, don't blow me off. That really pisses me off.
And it is a weird one, because I think in esports you see a lot of it. There's connections to alcohol, there's connections to medical marijuana, like there's a lot of different connections that are really common within the esports scene because it's young and it's trendy and that flies with, that particular population. But as soon as you try to take the step down into the education world, you're gonna find pushback. Like
it's the step up to the education world, by the way, not the step down.
Yeah, okay, the step up. As soon as you're moving into that field, you have to understand how that looks. Like it's not great. You can't turn around and go to, your local board of education and be like, yeah, we want to work with this group. Oh, let me see. Who are they connected with? Oh, you don't want to look at any of that.
For me to say I'm going to do business with your yeah, exactly. As I said to people, if I'm going to say I'm going to do business with your company and you have a Keemstar on your board, that means I'm literally trying to do business with Keemstar. That's the way it is seen in education world.
Yeah.
I cannot bring that toxic ass into my esports program. I can't, because all the things that we are trying to teach our kids and changing culture and changing the way esports is run. The reason why we have a toxic problem in this world is because of people like him. I cannot bring him in, or the company that is fronting him or using him, and I cannot in good conscience do that. I can't. That's me doing business with him. Even though he may not be directly involved in your business, he's funding your business. He will profit from my interactions with you. I can't do it.
Right.
No, and you're not the only one. There's going to be lots of organizations that can't.
I mean, and with influencers specifically, I just want to add, like, if you take away the number of people that like their tweets and, tune in, and you take that same thing that they say and you have a high school say that same thing, you would be alarmed. And if that's the adult, that's the content that they're putting out, that's fine. That's their juice. They can keep doing that, but that shouldn't be anywhere near kids. It just doesn't make sense.
Sam, I'm going to do this for you.
Boom shakalaka!
Totally nailed it. You totally nailed that. You're absolutely right. If we took some of those things and put them in schools, it'd be like, oh, that kid's getting kicked out.
Yeah.
What? Forget our gaming code of conduct. What is our school code of conduct at that point? You know.
Well, I think what's unfortunate is like part of our job as educators is to show students good role models, and what does it mean to be a good role model, and what does it look like to be a good role model, and how do you become a good role model for others? And it's unfortunate that most of the big streamers who are making millions, who are these popular and extremely, you know, quote unquote successful influencers, are not good role models.
Yeah.
And like, what message does that send to them, right? We're saying like, you shouldn't be toxic, you shouldn't, you know, trash on women, you shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, but
unless you can make a career
successful, but you can make a career out of it. Like, it's just and I think that's a lot of people were calling out Twitch for things like that, multiple times, right? Like, why are you still supporting? Why are you still supporting these people? But like, what does that teach our kids, that like your teacher is saying don't be like that, but then this person's making millions and millions of dollars by being like that, you know?
Well, and you know, the other fine lines that we have too. I mean, it is a fine line. There are things that I don't want to say compromise, but it's one of my, I'll tell you this is one of my favorite conference moments, is me and Sam at UCI's ESC conference last year. We were doing the state of esports, and I started going off on Riot. And I love telling the story because Sam's eyes start getting wider and wider and wider and wider. And I'm going off, and all of a sudden I'm realizing I better pump the brakes a little bit, because I think I might be saying something that's a little over the top. And apparently the Riot folks were sitting just over my left shoulder as I was going. But again, it is one of those things.
I would say now I wouldn't care. Now I would not care. Then I was a peacekeeper, you know, like I would only say my opinion in very closed circles. Now I would, you know, probably just join in.
But again, it was the same thing we're talking about with the influence. It's like, I want to play League of Legends in my school, which apparently we can't anymore. Oh, well, we're going to anyway. Sue me. So, but we're looking at the culture of the company. And if one of my board members caught wind of that, they would have legitimate questions to ask me. It's one of those, but it's one of those things where it's like, ooh, do we compromise on this because there's so many kids who like the game, and you know, do we make this a learning thing? What do we do? I mean, it is that song and dance, but at this point, I don't have to acquiesce to a company who I don't have any other business doing with them other than their new service or whatever that we're adding. I'll go find somebody else to do it with.
Well, and that's I think that's where diversification of programs come in handy, is if you're bought into a league that is money driven, there's going to be no concern about what the moral impacts or the ethical impacts are of what you're playing or how you're playing or who's invested. If your program's really diversified, or you're with a league that's really diversified, then there's a little more ability to be able to go like, wow, okay, that just happened. Yeah, we're going to distance ourselves from that. And we're going to talk about why we're doing that, because, you know, if people did stand up when these companies make these horrible missteps, things would change. The problem is people don't. You know, I've experienced it just recently within my own community. Like, when things happen that aren't right, you do have the ability to call it out, like be respectful about it and be, you know, professional. But yeah, absolutely. You could say, no, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not playing that. Or we are not going to play that. Or this is not, you're not going to be involved with our organization because this does not meet our moral and ethical guidelines. You know, think of it as if they don't fit your code of conduct, should you be having anything to do with them? No, you really shouldn't. And yes, that makes it hard. Like, what game is there left to play? There are still games left to play. Like, and if if we were more vocal, there would be even more of them, because it's what's acceptable. And if people are done accepting the BS, then a lot of that behavior is going to start to slowly shift. But right now, everybody loves drama. Like, everybody loves drama. And unfortunately it pays. But, in the education sphere, at least, we have the ability, and I would say we have a responsibility to not get caught up in that, and to be able to go, no, like, this is the hard line. We have students that we're responsible for, and this does not fit that criteria.
And separate collegiate and K-12, please, for the love of God. Stop lumping us together. Very different worlds. So educational goals, yes. Different reasons for why we want to do it. Hey, we are 10 minutes over.
We're over.
Way over. Oh my God. Sam came in and threw us all off. Thanks, man. I did put in the chat the link to the RGG report, the Raising Good Gamer report.
It's a great report.
I think that's homework for everybody if you haven't read it already. In fact, it brought up in the report, streamers behave badly as a way to increase their views and likes, which in turn maximizes their profits and those of the company sponsors. So it's all right there. But final thoughts for tonight. Sam, you got here last, but I'll let you have the first final thought then for tonight.
No, I love listening to the weekly chats and just hearing all of you, because, as someone who's not a teacher herself, like, I live and breathe like everything that you all do, and just want to keep hearing. So just thanks for another beautiful Thursday chat with all of you.
Little secret, Sam will be a teacher someday, or a social worker. I'm convinced, one of the two.
Worker, most likely, yeah.
Angelique.
I think that my final thought is, I think we just, people need to make more conscious decisions. Like, I really liked what you said, like, if, regardless of whether you're starting a conference panel or a club, like, you need to make conscious decisions to make it diverse and make it inclusive for everybody. And sometimes we forget about that, and we're not paying attention to that, and then we create something that we didn't mean to create. So I think being intentional with everything that you create is really important, on top of creating things, being intentional of how you create it.
Bradford.
I'm gonna say ditto, Angelique, but don't be afraid to take the easy way out when starting up your program. When it comes to esports or panels, it is easy to just throw a panelist together or a program together just because you want to get something up. But take your time, do the research. Just like you said, Carrie, go beyond the black and white. Find the blues, the greens, the purples, the LGBTQs, all that stuff. Take your time and do it right.
Carrie?
Yeah, I was just going to say, and it piggybacks great off of Bradford. Go through your PLN, go through your Twitter following, go and look and see what diversity you have that you're following. And if you find that it's not diverse, or it's diverse in only a few ways, do some searches, ask some people, like, hey, who are some great trans people to follow? Who are some great LGBTQ plus people to follow? Or do we have, where's the Native American population, like, that's teaching esports? Find the people that don't look like you, that don't believe like you, that don't vote like you. Find them, and follow. You're gonna learn a lot. You're not always going to agree with everything you see, but it's going to tune you into various different walks of life that are not yours, and it's going to take you out of your comfort zone. And I think that's something we need. We need other perspectives.
My final thought for tonight, there's a little company. If you have LinkedIn, find a woman named Heather Perkins, Perkins. She's out of Milwaukee, and she is heading up an organization called Eclusion, which is about gaming for those with disabilities, differently abled, we shall say. They're just getting started in the Milwaukee area. I've been chatting with her quite a bit, and they're going to be making a major launch here, but connect with her and help her grow her network, because that, as Carrie pointed out earlier, is a really important thing that we don't really ever think about, is the differently abled who are also playing and need to be brought in fully. We have all this great technology. Let's use it. Right?
We are underrepresented.
And that will do it for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It is end of the broadcast. I don't know if there's anybody we can raid. I'm going to look to see. Do we raid Ninja? Nah.
I don't know that he needs it.
No, they won't even notice.
Let's see.
Black Girl Gamers are streaming right now.
I don't follow them. I have to follow them, though, because I
hurry up.
Okay, gosh, give me a second. All right.
That's something that can get resolved.
Fine, work wife.
Someone's got to be here to nag you, right? Like,
yes.
Oh man.
All right, here we go.
I just had no words to respond to that.
It was one of those moments where you're just like
awkward. You like don't know what to say.
We didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
I was going to be murdered or sit there in stunned silence.
Yeah.
You didn't do it. Like, it wasn't you.
I know, but I
think I messaged you. It was like,
how to
that just happened. Like,
and Black Girl Gamers are playing Monster Hunter, which one of my kids was asking me about. Can we make this our esport? So this is a good one. Thanks again, everybody. Please stick around for Black Girl Gamers. Take care.
Bye.
Oh, and something went wrong.
Oh. JK, we're still here. Secret show.
Bring it up to karaoke. Oh my gosh, there was that karaoke place in Florida that has now like 50 COVID.
Because you're sick. What?
I guess I can't raid their channel.
Oh.
All right. Well, we'll just hang up. It's like hanging up the telephone. Okay, click.
Bye.